Showtime is here, no time to fear. Carell is so near because Showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Carell is the one that you need to know. Now it's Showtime.
Should bars have TSA-style facial scanners for security? Not sure, but I'm going to tell you. Also, the deal that isn't and the big one is coming. Plus, there's brouhaha here, as you can hear. I'll tell you what all that's about, too. It is the Carell Show. I am Carell. So very glad you are joining me. One of those things, been waiting all morning for someone to arrive, and they arrive right as I go on air. The moment we go on air, they arrive at the door. So you hear Ember out there carrying on. But just know that it means my house is about to get cleaned. The expenditure, the extravagance I give myself once a month. Do you give yourself something once a month that you probably shouldn't, that you can't afford or you can't really do, but you do it anyway because you figure life is short and what the hell? For me, it's my housekeeper. Once a month. I would have them every week if I could afford it. But once a month, Zulma comes and helps me because I am older and disabled. And you know what? I need help. All right, we got a lot to talk about today. Speaking of needing help, I think we all need help. The country needs help. We've got an out-of-control madman president who spent the better part of the morning this morning from 4:28, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, rage tweeting. And that's because even his conservative supporters in the media, Fox News included, have all said the Iran deal is not a deal. It's a surrender. Everybody has said that now. The Guardian, the Irish Times, the Fox News, MSNBC, MS Now, CNN, every journalist, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, they have all pointed out this isn't a great deal for the United States. That before the war, the Strait of Hormuz was open. Iran was being crippled by sanctions. 13 Americans that are now dead were alive. And 5,000 or more Iranians that were alive, were still alive. And Marco Rubio has called it a foreign policy blunder, or something like that. He said it was not a good thing and that Trump was probably listening to bad advice, that sort of stuff. There's nothing we can do about it. And by the way, it does nothing about their nuclear capabilities. That's been tabled for 60 days. And now they have a bargaining chip that they know is a winner, which is the Strait of Hormuz. They know that they can, in fact, threaten the world's economy with that stretch of waterway and get what they want. Hold us by the gonads. And so it is not a good deal. Sandy, you've been getting a professional massage once a month since the beginning of the year. Good for you. Good for you. $70, $80, who cares? I've really gotten that way. I know I should talk about this deal with Iran. I know I should. But it's not a deal. It's surrender. But, on my mind are so many things this morning, and that's why I'm not Stephanie Miller. I'm not David Pakman. I'm not. And maybe that's why I'm not making their money. Maybe y'all don't want what I'm selling. But, what's on my mind this morning is quality of life. Quality of life and happiness. I've noticed Ember is going under the chair more and going under the buffet more and going under the bathroom sink more. And I'm like, why is she hiding? Well, why does she seem unhappy? And I thought, A, she hates the summer. And B, I act unhappy. And look, I'm not. I make enough money to pay my bills. I have a good credit score. I have a podcast, albeit small. And this morning I woke up all mad that I wasn't at the Culturista Awards, that I'm not getting a Culturista Award, that, I woke up angry that I'm not a part of this big gay thing that goes on. And I'm like, well, you don't put yourself out there. You don't, solicit it. Yesterday, my friend David told me to send 3 texts to people that could help me. So I did. And what do you know? They're going to help me. I've got a person putting in a good word at Palm Springs Pride for me. I emailed the Raz Room or the Hotel Nico and said, let's just pick a date. If people show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. You know? So instead of lying around feeling bad, because quality of life. And that goes to your monthly indulgence, me having the maid come, Sandy getting a massage. You know, we've got to have these indulgences because nowadays we're just living check to check. The future does not look bright to us. And it can really just make a dark cloud live over your head, live over your house. Because there certainly is a dark cloud over the United States. No one is happy.
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
But no one is happy. MAGA's not happy. They're still disgruntled. Republicans aren't happy. Democrats aren't happy. The general population's not happy. No one is really happy today except Knicks fans in New York, and that's about it. You know, joy has been robbed from America by Donald Trump. I was watching a show last night called Night Watch Nation, and when they encounter someone who's altered, they ask them things like, what's the day of the week and who's the president? And they asked this black guy, and this was back in Trump's first term. And they asked this guy, well, what day is it? And he said, it's Thursday. And they said, do you know who the president is? He goes, I wish I didn't. And I knew. I didn't even have to look at the time zone or what time this was filmed in because I knew who he meant. We have had our joy, what little joy we had, taken from us. And now, I see things happening amongst people that I don't understand, and I shake my head. We're going to talk about this tomorrow on This Gay Week with Scott, but in the gay community now, young gays, they don't understand pride. They don't get it. They don't understand what it's for. They see it as a commodity and not a protest or a movement. And many of them now don't want to be associated with trans rights, with queer rights. They want to just, like gay men are like young gay men. They're like, oh, I'm not those things. I'm not a lesbian. I'm not this. They don't understand the reason that we all banded together. Why lesbians, gay men, trans people, why we all banded together. Because unless you're a voting bloc, unless you're an economic bloc, no one cares. You can't get anything done. So gay men and lesbians banded together and I'm going to go into this again tomorrow, so we can have more political clout. And yes, we band together with trans and with the queer community. They're all marginalized, and on their own, there's not enough voices. But when they come together, when it's LGBTQIA, when they all come together, they're a block. There's larger voices. And all anyone wants to be is heard. And so we're not being heard, you and I. Our issues are not being addressed, not by Democrats, not by Republicans. Nobody is addressing what we care about. Climate change. We care about that. We care that this cold blob might stop the Atlantic Ocean stream and change the weather across the globe. We care about that. We care about equal rights for men, for women, for gays, for straights, for immigrants, for whomever. We care about immigrants and how they're treated. We care about health care for ourselves and for other Americans and for our family. We care about access to that health care. We care about cost. Last night on Night Watch Nation that I was watching, 3 people refused the ambulance ride that they clearly needed. They said they would take a taxi because they didn't have the $1,000 for the ambulance ride. No one in a time of distress should be forced to call a cab because they can't afford the ambulance. That only happens in this country. So we care about that. We don't want them to have to make that choice. We care about them. But no one cares about what we care about right now because no one is decent these days. Everybody is angry. Everybody is mad at each other. No one can say anything nice to anybody on social media. I saw someone today on social media say, his name is Destiny. He's a liberal and he has a channel. And he says, my friends, when I'm in the middle of a controversy, will say, we support you, or I'll get a text that says, we support you. And he says, screw that. Why aren't you on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram defending me in the comments? Why aren't you there supporting my opinion? I ask myself the same thing about you guys. I know how many people watch and listen to the show. Why do you let people go on TikTok and tear me apart in the comments? Why do you not come to my defense? Why on Instagram do you let them say horrible things under my post without coming to my defense? Why do you just let that happen? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. Why do liberals and other gays let MAGA attack me so loudly and not do anything about it? Not post a comment, not tell them they're it, nothing. Nothing. It's just all negative. No one supports anybody these days, truly supports them. You guys support me through Patreon, but only 78 of you, which without you, there'd be no show. I would stop the show. I'd have to stop the show. I'd have to find something else to do to replace that money. And so we are in this really strange time where our happiness is not considered. It's like way down on the list of priorities. But when do we all plan on being happy? I am 63. I'm going to be 64 this year. Madonna's 68. When do we all plan on being happy? When we're 70? When we're 80? When we're dead? If we're not living the best life we can today, this day, then we're never living it. Then we're not going to live it. And Trump has robbed our quality of life. He has made perks like a maid or a massage just so you feel guilty doing it. Shouldn't feel guilty doing nice things for yourself. But we do because we know that gas prices are uncertain, that grocery prices are uncertain. I read an article at USA Today that says Americans can't find a home. And it was a survey of Americans about home ownership, buying a home, etc. People don't want to buy houses right now. Home sales are plummeting. And people don't want to buy them because they're not certain about the future. They don't know if the economy is going to hold or go bust. They don't know if my neighbor paid $270 for his condo. They're already down to $230. He's already lost $40,000. No one wants to move into a house and immediately lose money. And people are afraid if they buy a house right now, that in 6 months, because of the uncertain economy, they will already have lost money. So they're not buying houses. So real estate brokers are struggling. People in the real estate industry of escrow offices, transaction coordinators, they're all struggling because people don't want to buy houses. And people like me who own a house that may want to sell it and buy something else, we're having to rethink that and rethink our goals and rethink about where we're going to live because selling a house right now is not an easy thing to do. The apartment downstairs from me has been for sale for 4 months. When I bought this unit, people lined up on day one for an open house. When I sold my house in Long Beach, she had an open house at 9 o'clock. By 9:10, we had 4 offers. Now houses sit on the market for months. They decrease the price of them. And the article in USA Today says that is a direct byproduct of our fear of the future. People are not wanting to make big investments because they truly, and Trump's out there saying, but the stock market's at an all-time high. Only 46 or 51% of you have 401ks. Most of you, 49% of you, half of you, are not invested in the stock market. When it comes to outside of 401ks, how many people own stocks? That's only 26%. So 74% of you outside of your 401k don't own any stocks. So when they tout the stock market is doing so great and we're supposed to feel good about that, I wonder why most of us don't own stocks. At least we're not millionaires. We don't own so much that we have $1 million here and $1 million there. And so there is this cloud that MAGA and Donald Trump have brought. And it keeps raining. We keep waiting for a break in the rain and some sunshine. And then he starts an unjust and illegal war that's going to cost us $300 billion. That is a slush fund. Everyone's calling it that. Iran will have better infrastructure than New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco. And all they had to do was win a war against the United States. Does that give you happiness? Do you feel good today? You know, on V-Day, when we won World War II, they marched in the streets. There was ticker tape parades. People kissed each other in public. When we finally pulled out of Afghanistan, families were happy. When Desert Storm was over, people were happy. When Vietnam finally ended, a generation was happy. He just ended this war, and no one is happy except the Iranians. There's no parades. There's no big ceremonies. You didn't go out and celebrate and say, woo, we won. Because you don't feel like we won. You feel like we lost. And so America has this dark cloud over it that is Donald Trump. And it won't go away. And it won't stop raining. And we're down here and we're tired of it. It's like we live in Seattle. We're sick of the gray. We are ready for some sunshine. I read another article this morning that said Donald Trump and the economy has America singing the summer blues. Less people are traveling. I was talking to my friend David this morning. Steve, I said, we need to go to the Poconos for the summer. It's cooler there. And he said, what are those? And I said, it's where the Jews used to go and have, summer vacations. They'd rent cabins for a month or 2 months or 3 months. He goes, they would? I said, yes, summer. People used to go on summer vacation for a month or 2 months. They'd take their families from New York down to Florida, or they'd go to the Poconos, or they'd go in California. They'd go to the Redwoods. They'd go here. He goes, people would get away from work for a month? I said, yes. And it was only one breadwinner then. And dad or mom would take a month off and go on vacation with the kids or with each other. Who does that now? Who rents a cabin for a month and goes away for the summer? No one, except rich people, but pretty much no one. That era is over. Why? Because who could afford to take a month off of work? You'd have to be making buku bucks. James Snable says, I'm tired of Middle East transformational projects which cost money and lives. I couldn't agree more. I'm so sick of the Middle East. Andrew used to get angry and say, just turn it all to glass. He would say, nuke it all, turn it all to glass. Andrew would get so frustrated on how much time and money is spent on the Middle East. We've got an East Coast that needs money and time. We've got a Midwest that needs money and time. California and the West need water. We need infrastructure to get water to the Colorado River. We could spend $300 billion, could solve the drought in the West. It could build 5 desalination plants. It could build a pipeline from the Midwest to the Colorado. $300 billion could put high-speed trains all over the country. Why can't I hop on a train here in Las Vegas and go see my friend in Orlando? Why? I can't even get an Amtrak here. There is no Amtrak in Las Vegas. There's no trains that come here. None. Zero. And the one they're building is going to go to Rancho Cucamonga. It's stupid. So we live in this time, where everybody's arguing about everything. Northrop is retiring from Gay USA and want an experienced journalist with historical knowledge of social activism and issues. Could it be you? Could you? Free Speech TV knows who I am. They know who I am. If they wanted to hire me for that job, I used to have a show on Free Speech TV, so they know who I am. But, so we live in this time. I agree ambulances should be free. People saying that in the chat room. The First Amendment's being destroyed. Yes, it is. We live in this dark cloud of a time. And so I told my friend David, I said, sometimes I think it's me. I think, you've turned so negative in your old age and you feel like a has-been. And my friend said today, well, at least you were something. There are so many people who don't even have has-been status because they never were. Now my gay community is at odds. The young gay community is now at odds with the old gay community. So now there's a civil war going on there, which would end up being a dance party probably. Civil War, the dance party, featuring DJ Robin S. or whatever. So I didn't plan on talking about this today. The topic just sort of, we have a happiness crisis in America. We really do. That's why people are turning to drugs and so many other vices. The internet. That's why social media is so popular. People are unhappy if they just get lost in the algorithm.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
So, yeah. I mean, we all are responsible for our own happiness, I know, but it's hard to be joyous when you look at the news and you see Donald Trump giving $30 billion to the Ayatollah right away. Right away. This week, $30 billion is being released to the Ayatollah. Money that we had embargoed and sanctioned. I don't even know. Alexa, what is the population of Iran? Mm-hmm. Yes. So there's 93 million people in Iran. We're releasing $30 billion to them right now. I wonder how much that is per person. Alexa, what is 30 billion divided by 93 million?
30 billion divided by 93 million is approximately 322.5806.
So we're releasing $322 per Iranian today to the Ayatollah who hates us. We took off his leg, killed his father and his wife and his child. We're giving someone $30 billion that hates us. And what do you suppose he's going to do with that money? Put it to wonderful altruistic causes? You think he's going to donate it to charity? Use it to liberate his people? No. He's going to funnel it into anti-American terrorism. That's what he's going to do. Oh, he won't make a big deal about, publicizing it. But he's going to funnel it to Hamas. And you wait. There will be attacks on Americans. Iran's not going to. They know they have the upper hand now. They won. They're going to take that money and use it against us. And they'll take that $300 billion, that restorative fund, and they won't dump it into their infrastructure. And by the way, why do we need to help them rebuild? Did we hit civilian targets? Because if we did, then Donald Trump is a war criminal. Is this his payoff to not be convicted of war crimes? And I'm not the first to say this. Mark Levin, a conservative, said, why are we helping to rebuild their infrastructure if we only hit military targets? Because in war, that's all you're supposed to hit. So why are we paying money to help them rebuild their military targets? Otherwise, we hit civilian targets and Trump's a war criminal. It can't be both ways. Did we hit military targets only, or did we hit civilian targets? If we hit civilian, he's a war criminal. So I don't even know what that money is for. And what is he doing? What kind of charge card does he have? Because we're broke. So my friend Brandon has 5-year-old kids. Their children's children will be paying this debt. We can't pay this debt off. $300 billion. Alexa, what is 300 billion divided by 340 million?
300 billion divided by 340 million is approximately 882.3529.
We all, every American, every baby, every grown-up, every senior, everything would have to send the government $900 to pay for what we're giving to Iran. Every homeless person, everybody in America. Now, since only half of that number works, that means if you're working, Donald Trump just put you $1,800 in debt. Every American worker just got a charge card with a minus $1,800 on it. How about that? You think they know that? You think MAGA is smart enough to figure out that he just gave away $1,800 per working person in America, or $900 for every American? No, because they hear the term 300 billion and they have no idea how much it means. Remember, $1 a minute. If you have $1 million and you give away $1 a minute, you will run out of dollars in 11.5 days. If you have $1 billion, I'm sorry, a second, $1 per second. If you have $1 million and you give away $1 per second, you'll run out of money in 11.5 days. If you have $1 billion and give away $1 per second, you won't run out of dollars for 32.5 years. $1 billion's a lot. 300 billion's even more. And whether all that comes from the United States or from around, and no, he says it's going to come from across the globe. Who's going to pay? Who? You think the Saudis are going to give money to the Iranians that bombed them? You think the Lebanese, the Syrians, the Israelis who caused all of this? Why isn't Israel paying the $300 billion? Why are we? This was all done at Israel's behest. But here we are. No one's going to help him with that bill. They're all going to laugh at him. They're going to be like, we ain't giving you a dime to give to Iran. Who would? Why would they? He started it. He caused everybody pain in every country everywhere. Why would anybody anywhere give him money to give Iran? Because he asked nicely? Please. So now every American's $1,800 more in debt, plus the $30 billion we're releasing. Why are we releasing money we took from Iran in sanctions? Why? Well, because we lost the war. But had we not lost? I mean, the war cost us $30 billion. Why aren't we keeping that money to pay for the war? Winners keep the spoils. The spoils of war go to the winners. Who is getting the spoils of this war? Are we getting free oil from Iran? We are not. Is Iran paying us for all the weapons that we used against them? The billions we spent in weapons? They are not. Are we paying them? We are. So who got the spoils of war? The Iranians. And who gets the spoils in a war? The winners. Pretty simple, huh? Pretty simple. Pretty simple. What's going on in the chat room at youtube.com/reallykarel. Someone says blame yourself. I don't know what that means. Believe me, I blame myself for a lot of stuff. In the end, we are all has-beens. Amen. We have the right to pursue happiness, but I guess that's left the U.S. You're right. It's in the Constitution. We're about to celebrate. Do you even feel like having a 4th of July this year? And I'm being honest. Do you even feel like it? Because I don't.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karelcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karelcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Carellcast, driving you home or driving you crazy.
Now it's your time.
All right, I had to find Ember. Sorry. I'm one of those dog owners that if I don't know where she is every moment of the day, I freak fucking out. Where's Ember? Where is she? All right, couple things I want to talk about today. So, in the gay community, we're making a lot of mistakes. And in the Castro district of San Francisco, there are several bars where when you go to the bar now, you present your ID and they do a TSA type facial scan. They have your name, your address. They're a gay bar, so they obviously know you're gay. They collect this info. They share it between other bars that have these facial scanners. They keep the info for at least 30 days. And people are pissed. And now the bar says, we're doing this to keep troublemakers out. If we do this and someone gets in a fight or someone is a troublemaker, we can then flag them in the system. So if we throw them out and they go to another bar, they won't be let in. Now, privacy advocates are like, wait a minute. You're compiling a list of gay people, their IDs, their home addresses, their date of birth, their driver's license numbers, their face, their facial recognition. What part of that sounds like a good idea under Donald Trump? I can't argue with that. So my question to you, if you went up to a bar, straight bar, gay bar, doesn't matter, a venue, a concert, whatever it is, and they asked to scan your face, are you going inside? My answer is no. Nope. If I go to a club, a restaurant, a bar, whatever, and they want to scan my face, the answer is no. I'll leave. No thanks. I don't need to go inside. And the sad part is these queens are just doing it. They're just letting them scan their faces and going inside. Would you? Leave your comment down below. Would you allow your face to be scanned to go into a bar? They say, look, it's for your own safety. Isn't that how they frame everything? Oh, it's for your own good. They say it's for your own good. Would you allow your face to be scanned to enter any business outside of the airport, the TSA, getting on a plane? Would you let your face be scanned to go into a government building, the Social Security office or something? Look, we know they have cameras out on the streets. We know they're using facial recognition software. We know this. So is it just antiquated thinking to think that we're not all going to have this, as just normal, where you just walk in any place and it scans your face? Where that's just a normal thing to do? Big Brother at its best? Would you allow, especially if you're gay or an immigrant or a woman, you go into a club and you're by yourself and you're a woman, you're giving them your home address, you're giving them your picture, you're giving them your facial scan, And do we trust bars to not sell this info, to not keep a list, do we trust the government to not demand this info? I don't. So am I paranoid? Well, yeah, but with good reason. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. So what would you, if you walk up to an establishment and they have a facial ID scanner, would you allow them to scan your face to go into the bar? I would not. Do you have a choice? Of course you have a choice. Not go in. Your choice is to not frequent that establishment. We always forget that we ultimately have a choice. But would you do it? I would not. But they're doing it in the Castro right now. as we speak, tonight, when people go into bars, Badlands and others in the Castro, they're going to have their face scanned along with their ID. It's not just a facial scan. They scan your driver's license and your face, just like at the airport, how they scan your passport or license and your face. They're doing that in the Castro in San Francisco. Would you go into any place that did
If
that?
you're not visiting reallycorel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes at reallycorel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Carell is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Carell is the one that you need to know.
Well, the consensus in the chat room is hell no. Hell to the no. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't do it. And if that becomes the norm, I guess I'm going to be staying home a lot. You know, really. If that just becomes normal at a bar to scan your face before you go in, I guess I'll just stay home. You know, and I haven't heard one straight establishment doing this. Okay? I have not heard one straight establishment doing it. Why are they only doing it at gay bars? And they say, oh, because of troublemakers. Gay bars have the least amount of fights of any bars. Okay? Queens do not go inside bars and get in fights. That's not what we do. And if we do, it's they have drag-offs. They have lip sync for your life contests. They don't beat the crap out of each other. You have us mistaken for a country western bar in Alabama. So I wouldn't do it. And I don't think you should either. I think if you walk up to an establishment and they want to scan your face, tell them, nope, sorry, not coming in. You're not getting my money. And when enough people turn around at the door, the bar will change its policy. You know, so many of our rights are taken away in the name of protecting us. That's an old quote. I think it was like Thomas Jefferson or something said, you know, people will gladly give up their rights in the name of protection. And we've done it historically. Look at the Patriot Act. That FISA, the Patriot Act, allows all that spying and surveillance and just a breach of the Constitution, and we allowed it because we were afraid of terrorists. Who, by the way, where's the attacks? We were told if we didn't give up all of our freedoms that there'd be nothing but terrorist attacks. There hasn't been a terrorist attack since when? Now, there's been American terrorists. Every time there's a mass shooting, that's an American terrorist. But in terms of Al-Qaeda, Hamas, any of that, and it's not because Kash Patel is able to do such a good job. We were lied to. Plain and simple. They wanted to take away our rights, so they lied to us and got what they wanted. A big government machine called the Department of Homeland Security, multi-billion-dollar agency whose sole purpose is to take away your rights. Doesn't make you any safer. The same with ICE. ICE makes you no safer. It doesn't cut down on immigration. None of that. It just terrorizes immigrants. Takes away their rights to due process. Oh, but we have to take away their right to due process. They're lawbreakers. They're this. They're that. Yeah, no. No. So I have found. So I knew that Andrew had HIV. And then I knew he had AIDS. And we knew it was a very real possibility that he was going to die early. We knew that. But as much as you think you're prepared for it, or as much as you think that you're ready for it, you're not. Because in your mind, even though you know it could happen or probably will happen, you just put it aside. Well, it's not going to happen today, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'll worry about it when it happens. It's not going to happen today. And I bring up that story because scientists have just told us that something that I go over all the time, the Cajon Pass, which is on the 15 in between Las Vegas and California, right there by Victorville, Apple Valley. It's the gateway to the high desert. is at the 1,000. There hasn't been this much pressure on the San Andreas and connecting faults in over 1,000 years. That the fault is at an all-time 1,000-year high when it comes to pressure. Now, they're not saying that means it's going to blow up today or tomorrow, but they are saying that the pressure's at a 1,000-year high and that ultimately it will have to be released. Now, the San Andreas Fault is not a meeting of two tectonic plates that could break apart, okay? So everyone says, oh, California's going to fall into the ocean. No, that's not the San Andreas. It's like this. It's one plate here and one plate going this way. So one plate pushing this way, or, one mass pushing this way, and one pushing this way. And when it has an earthquake, it doesn't go down and crack. It moves side to side. That's how it releases the pressure. Because one plate's headed north and one plate's headed south. This is where they meet, and they do this. So it's not a matter of, will California fall off into the sea? No, it won't. Could the coast shift? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? Absolutely. Is Southern California all the way up to Seattle prepared? Absolutely not. Japan excels at earthquake preparedness. We do not. Do you know in Japan they sell beds that if it senses an earthquake, the bed opens up and you fall down into it and then it covers up? And that way, if anything falls or whatever, you're enclosed in this box. And inside that box, there's air, there's food, there's water. Beds that do that. We don't have those beds. Do you know their buildings in Tokyo can withstand a 10-point earthquake? Ours can't. Many buildings in San Francisco and LA, toast. So we know it's coming. We know the fault's at a 1,000-year high when it comes to pressure. And yet we're doing nothing about it and going about our daily lives like it's not going to happen. Because most of us do not believe that the big one is going to happen. Because my whole life, and I've lived in Southern California and now Vegas for 51 years total, my whole life I've heard about the big one. And it's never happened. Sylmar was big, 7 point something, that was big. Northridge, 6.8, that was big. Loma Prieta, that was very big up in San Francisco. I've been through some huge quakes, but not at 8 or 9 or 10. And that's what they're talking. So it's an odd trait we humans have. We know this is going to happen. It's not it might. It's going to happen. But we just don't think it's going to happen to us. And that applies to so many things. We go out in our cars every day driving, and we act like no one gets into wrecks. We think, oh, well, that, people do, but it's not going to happen to me. There's so many things in life that we know are probably going to happen, but we just think, well, they're not going to happen to me. That doesn't affect me. It's not going to happen to me. And then there's the Cascadia subduction zone, which goes from a little bit below San Francisco out in the ocean all the way up past Seattle. If that breaks loose, and we know it's going to, when it breaks loose, the entire coastline could shift 10 to 20 feet. I want you to imagine everything from San Francisco to Seattle, everything along the coast, moving 10 to 20 feet up. Imagine that. 10 to 20 feet. Everything, every building, everything moving 10 to 20 feet up. The devastation, millions would die. Millions would die or be injured. Tsunamis, huge tsunamis. Seattle would be hit. San Francisco would be hit. Los Angeles would be hit by enormous tsunamis that could go up to a mile inland. A mile. These aren't maybes. This is going to happen. And just like climate change, this is a perfect example. Al Gore told us 30 years ago what was going to happen. It's happened. Why? Because we act like it's not really going to happen, or it's not going to happen in my lifetime, or it's not going to really happen to us, or it's not going to be that bad. It is that bad, and it happened. So my question is, are you prepared wherever you live for whatever disaster may befall you? If you live in a fire area, are you ready to evacuate? There are fires burning all over right now. There's smoke all over Las Vegas. Are you ready to evacuate if you live in a fire area? Do you have a go bag? Do you have a plan? Do you have an out-of-state contact? Do you have an emergency kit? If you live in San Jose, San Francisco, if you live in Seattle, if you live anywhere between Los Angeles and Vancouver, British Columbia, are you ready for an enormous earthquake? Do you have a plan? Do you have cash? ATMs will not work. Do you have cash in a safe somewhere? Do you have a gun? If chaos ensues and banks are down and stores are closed, you may need one. Do you have medical supplies? Do you have backup prescriptions? You might have to go weeks or a month before you can refill your prescriptions. Do you have backup pills? Most of you are saying no. You might have a kit, but it's not complete. So as this story is in the news that this fault is at a 1,000-year high when it comes to pressure, it should be a wake-up call for everybody to get their kit together. You know, here in Vegas, we don't have natural disasters. We do have earthquakes. And if the Cajon Pass let loose, we'd feel it here in Vegas. And it'd be big. It'd be substantial. It'd probably be 5 or 6, maybe even 7 by the time it got to us. If it's a 10.400 miles that way, by the time it got to us through the mountains and all of that, which would absorb some of the shock, it would still be big. No one in Vegas is prepared for an earthquake. No one. And yet Nevada has as many as California. No one even knows that. We had one here the other day. It was a 4.1, and everyone got all up in a tizzy. And I said, well, we have earthquakes in Nevada as much as California. They were like, what? I said, yes. In fact, there's more fault lines in Nevada than there are in California. And they're like, no way. I said, look it up. They couldn't believe it. But there are. So no one in this city is ready. And those buildings on the Strip, they are not made for earthquakes, trust me. The new guitar they're building for the Hard Rock, oh, it's something. I should take you down and show it to you. It's huge. I have never seen such an enormous hotel. And it's in a guitar shape. It's all glass on the outside. If there's an earthquake, that's all going to just shatter and fall down on people and they're going to die. So I hope that you will use this story about the 1,000-year pressure to make sure you have an emergency plan. You have a way to contact somebody out of state in case the phone lines go down and the cell service goes down. You know, maybe a satellite phone or a landline or something, but you got to have someone out of state that you can call. So then your family, what if your family's not at home? Do you have a plan? Have you told your wife or your kids, if we're separated and there's an earthquake, go to this location? Have you made that plan? Most of you have not. Do you have a designated out of state to tell your family, if we're separated, call this person, call Aunt so-and-so. Let them know where you are because we'll check in with them. I don't know that a lot of you have done that. And I truly hope that you do. Let this story in the news, let it guide you and help prepare you. You know? Please. Because it's coming. And it could be right now. It could be today. I know that we don't think that way. It's like death. This is a prime example. 50% of Americans do not have a will. Do you? Do you have a will or a trust? 50% of Americans don't have a will. But 100% of Americans are going to die. It's the same thing. We ignore unpleasant topics. We just do. We don't prepare for the unpleasant. I thought I was prepared for when Andrew died. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. Oh, boy, was I wrong. And I certainly didn't expect him to die that night. He was doing well on the drugs. We had plans. We were going to go onto the radio in San Francisco, and we were going to take over broadcasting on countrywide. We were going to be the gay couple. We had plans. And they all ended on May 21st. Very unexpectedly. Do you have plans for what happens when the worst happens? Do you have a will? Have you paid for your cremation or burial? Do you have an emergency kit? Do you have an emergency contact? Do you have cash? Maybe a satellite phone? That would be very helpful. They're not that much.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
All right. Wow, the show flew by today. Really did. Always so glad when I can spend some time with you guys. I am. It makes me happy. And I like being happy. So I hope you're prepared. I hope you are prepared because that fault is at 1,000-year pressure. And it could go another 100 years, 200, 500, or it could go another 2 minutes. Preparing for the unpleasant is not easy. When I sit down, I still have to do a pre-need. I still have to call Mackenzie Cremation and Burial in Long Beach and Ken McKenzie, who is a friend of mine, and I have to prepay for my cremation. I've put that off for so long. I have a trust set up for Ember, but I have to prepay my burial, and I haven't done it yet. I know that I want my party to be on the Queen Mary if it still exists at the observation bar. I want everyone to go to the observation bar, look out over Long Beach, and have a fucking party. That's what I want. As for my ashes, any of my family that want my ashes can have some, and whatever's left over, spread where I spread Andrew, out at sea. I have the coordinates. I have the GPS coordinates of where the boat dropped Andrew's ashes, and that's where I want my ashes to be dropped, off the coast of Long Beach. You would think that I would live back in Long Beach. I want my memorial to be on the Queen Mary. I want to be dropped off in the ocean off the coast of Long Beach. You would think that means I should live there. And if I had the money, maybe I would. Yesterday, I found out Taco Terrian here in Las Vegas is franchising, and I have the perfect spot in Long Beach for it, where Portfolio Coffee used to be, 4th and Junipero. A great spot. It's for lease. Taco Terrian is franchising. They're the #1 vegan taqueria in the country. I could move back to Long Beach, start a Taco Terrian, have a podcast studio in the corner for me and for others to use, have a case of pastries from I Declare brought down from Pasadena every day, have tea in the afternoons. Oh, how fabulous would it be? If only I had $1 million or $2 to, make that happen. But yeah, do you have a pre-need? Have you paid for your cremation? Have you paid for your burial? Probably not. Why? Because I guess you don't want to face the fact that you're going to die. And there are flippant people in my chat room right now talking about, oh, what a great thing it would be for California if the big one hit and millions of people died. It wouldn't be a great thing. There'd be nothing great about an 8 or 9 point earthquake. Families would be torn apart. Hundreds of thousands or millions would die, lose their homes. There is nothing great about that. So your little flippant comments are fucked up. California is one of the most beautiful states in the world. Period. It is one of the world's largest economies. It is one of the most progressive and liberal states. It provides a lot of agriculture to the world and to the country. Many great people have been from there, and many great businesses were started there. There would be no tech industry without California. I hate people who hate on California. That pisses me off. It is possibly one of the best states in the United States. Two of the most world-class cities ever are in California. Los Angeles, which includes Hollywood and Long Beach, and San Francisco. Those cities are unrivaled by any other cities in the world. They hold up against Paris, London, New York. This hate for California is stupid. It is a spectacular place to live. It is a spectacular, spectacular state. It has incredible beauty. The notion that any part of it is bad is ridiculous. And the people are fabulous. They're incredible. Some are assholes, some are not. Many are creative, many are not. But they all have one thing in common. They're Californians. And guess what? They're great people. But see, I look at America differently. I think New Yorkers are great people. I do. I think people from Seattle are great people. A little depressed, a little grungy, but great. San Francisco, you can't beat it. You can't beat the people. You can't beat the city. Philadelphia, incredible city, birthplace of so much history. So beautiful. Miami, what a gorgeous location. America has many world-class cities. I don't like that people poo-poo on it. Government aside, we're a beautiful nation. And government aside, we have gorgeous cities. The South, hot and ugly. Really is. New Orleans is fun, New Orleans, but outside of that, Atlanta, okay, but hot. Texas, a total waste, get rid of it. Let them secede. I mean, really. Dallas, Galveston Island, there's better. So Texas, give back to whoever or let them secede. But we have a lot of world-class states. So stop poo-pooing California. And if the fault let loose, it would not be a great thing. It would be one of the most horrific. Well, when it does, it's going to. Mount St. Helens is going to erupt again. Mount Rainier is going to erupt. And one day, the Yellowstone caldera is going to blow and take out half the United States. That's going to happen. We just don't want to think about it. But Yellowstone will erupt one day. Period. It's going to. Maybe not in our lifetime, but it's going to happen. And when it does, half the United States gets wiped out. Period. 4 states right around it have millions die. Oh, you should watch the thing on Netflix. It's frightening. And it's going to happen. It will happen. So we need to be prepared for these things. We need to build for these things. We need to rebuild Los Angeles, rebuild San Francisco to withstand a 10.0 earthquake. We need homes to have earthquake shelters in them. We need people to have satellite phone capability. We need to make those cheaper so people could then contact people if the cells go down. We need to act like it's going to happen because it's going to happen. But we don't. Just like we need to act like we're going to die because we are. Most of us live, the reason we waste our lives is because we act like we're not going to die. Like we have all the time in the world to get it right. We have all the time in the world for our dreams. We have all the time we don't. We don't. We're all getting closer to death. All of us. Every person listening to me now, you're one day closer to not being here. So enjoy. I am Carell. Be who you want to be so it doesn't hurt anybody, and prepare. Prepare for disaster. So when they happen, okay? Maybe I'll do that pre-need today. Oh, that'd be depressing. But I got to do it.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Carellcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service.
Showtime is here.